Hello, and welcome to Blown to Bits. This is the podcast where we talk about a lot of things. Sometimes video games, sometimes comics, whatever we feel like, more or less. This is actually Season 4. I'm Charlie, joined with
Ryan.
And we got Nate here to my left. Thank you. He is the third now.
Yes. Adam had to step away from the podcast for a little bit, focus on his family.
Understandable.
Yeah.
There's always a seat for him whenever he wants to come back. So
yeah, we went and hung out with him last night and had a lot of fun over at your work.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, Nate, he bartends over at Public House on High, and it's like our little local hangout spot.
good place and good beers, most definitely.
It's a good spot, 321 High Street. Come see us.
Check it out.
Yeah.
We're there most Fridays.
Fridays are sweet with
The captain.
the captain.
And the voyage.
Captain Head's Vinyl Voyage. Most Fridays at Public House.
Good times. Yeah, I actually enjoyed myself a little bit too much last night. I'm feeling the effects.
Same here.
I bought beers, but they were a shot spot for me. And
Where'd you go last night?
Bracken's. Started at Barley's, had a beer over there, and then a couple beers at Bracken's, and a few too many shots.
Yeah. Adam called me and he's like, "Hey man, come out to the Public House, have some drinks." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to eat dinner with my aunt and uncle because my cousin was in town." I was like, "I'll hit you up, when I get back." And then right when I got to like my aunt and uncle's house, he texts me, he goes, "I'm already here." So I showed up a couple hours later, and he goes, as soon as I show up, he comes out the door and he goes, "Yeah, you got to catch up." I said, "How many are in are you?" And he goes, "About 5 or 6.
He got a head start.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it worked out all right.
Yeah, I just bought the ones with the highest alcohol content.
Good.
7, 8, and 9.
Pound them down. Awesome.
Those are good. There was a bitter one there.
The Bitter Mofo by Von Seitz.
The Gadget.
The Gadget, yeah. Urban Artifact.
Yeah,
that's a real good beer.
Really good.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So Nate actually let me borrow some of these new comics that have started coming out, and they are awesome.
Yes. House of X and Powers of X.
Yeah, it's basically kind of rebooting the X-Men story and origins. Well, not really origins. Like, they're already established. They're not really doing like how they got their powers.
Right. People pretty much know who Professor X and Wolverine
Magneto
and all that stuff. So
yeah, I think it's kind of a new way to tell the story of the X-Men and really reboot it without completely retconning everything through that character, Maura McTaggart, which is, I think that's House of X book 2.
Yeah,
is a really, really good story about her powers. Basically, like, her mutant ability is to reincarnate, and you see her going through different, different
alternate
realities of how things could work out, basically focused on Charles Xavier.
Yeah. Like, there's one version where he tries to like coexist with humans and it fails.
Right.
So it radicalizes him. So in the next life, she tells him, "Hey, it didn't work." So he goes the extreme opposite and like takes everybody and like hides.
Right.
But the Sentinels still end up coming. So each time she tries something different, like one life she becomes an assassin and kills like all
of Bolivia Trask's family,
Oh,
all of his kids and everything.
It's like, we're just going to try our hardest not to make Sentinels, but
yeah, but it basically says that artificial intelligence is a discovery, not an invention. So eventually it's just going to emerge.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome, and it's the way they're doing the story. It totally like. Yeah, it almost gives them a reboot as far as like all this stuff in the past still happened, but this is a whole new way for all of those things that happened in the past to be different, because that was like, just a different reality.
Yeah,
and
that could be like the stories that we already know and love from the X-Men.
Right.
And all those are lives that she's lived, which is crazy because Maura was never a mutant before in the comics. She was like Xavier's love interest, but she was a really smart scientist, and she was the one that created the I guess like the mutant cure and all that, like,
yeah,
and it talks about that a little bit in there, but now it's revealed that she's a mutant and that she's been reincarnating this whole time, and it's like, wow, it puts a whole different spin on all these old comics.
When I was confused at first, it's reincarnation, but she actually goes back in time to the very beginning. So it's not like she dies and then 9 months from now she gets born again. She actually goes back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if she dies
back in the womb,
if she's 50 and she dies, she goes back 50 years and redoes it all over.
That's crazy.
So that way she can actually interact with Xavier in every life.
So her life is kind of like Groundhog's Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except like a whole lifetime instead of just one day. That's nuts.
I've gotten to the point where she's on her 9th live.
Cool.
And someone predicted that she only gets 10 lives.
Oh, really?
Destiny, that character, do you remember her from the comics?
Yes. Okay, yes. Yeah, I remember her for sure.
Basically, she's like a future seer.
So at this point, things are kind of getting dicey because
that's crazy.
Everything's failed so far.
Right? So I guess that's probably where, like, it says powers of X, but it could be like powers of 10 as well. Because it goes like the present and then like 10 years from then, and then 100 years, and then 1,000 years.
Oh man, that's a good point. And I think I don't know if you guys watched the Comic Books Explained YouTube channel. It's really, really good, like for stuff like that. Oh, that's the.
I watched the two videos.
Did one of them? Did he mention that it might be powers of X or powers of 10?
I don't think so.
I think
I
in the
heard
second
that.
video about that one that Ryan's reading right now, I think that's where he starts talking about like the powers, like 10 to the third power.
Oh man,
like in terms of the years and whatnot.
That's badass.
So that's really cool. And one thing I read was that these two, like both House of X and Powers of X, Powers of 10, they're meant to be read together, alternating. But at the end of this, they're gonna like do. It's basically gonna be like this one series of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's called Birth of X or, but once these two wrap up. It's just going to be like a whole nother just X-Men kind of universe. Man,
I'm so excited because I think X-Men definitely in the cinematic universe just has always been lacking, and I grew up reading more X-Men than I read any other Marvel stuff, and it's great.
Well,
it's such a breath of fresh air, man.
Yeah. I always had a hard
comics
time.
Are incredible.
I always had a hard time getting into X-Men comics because there's so many different. Different stories, and you don't really know where to start. Like at this point in the comic book world, there's a million different comic books.
Yeah,
like where do you even start?
And that's why this is so cool, because this is just a perfect place just to like pick up and start reading again, and, like, with a fresh story too.
There's just these 3 out right now, right?
Yeah. So the next one, I think Wednesday, the next Powers of X comes out. Because they're kind of alternating them. I think it changes up a little bit if you look at that list in the back.
Okay.
But, so every 2 weeks, a new one of one or the other comes out. And then the week in between, like, the other one comes out.
It's been a long time since I've bought a comic book.
Right.
I think I'm going to collect this series.
Yeah, dude,
though.
I'm going to pour money into this shit.
And I'll just borrow it from you guys until one of those collections comes out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I love getting those. Yeah, I love it whenever they come out in these.
Me too. I just can't wait. I have to read these, man. And that's awesome. I haven't been this excited about a comic in a long time, so it's really cool.
So how do you think these are gonna? Do you think these are gonna like tie into how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to bring X-Men into it?
I think it would be a great way to do it because. It's such it's just such a fresh like story.
Mm-hmm.
How would you tie it in with like the Avengers and stuff like that?
I guess there's this plant in these comics called Krakoa that allows them that the X-Men are planting across the planet and other planets, and it creates a pathway or a portal for them to like travel through. So I mean, they could have been doing this in the background the whole time, or maybe the mutants haven't really been like, I guess, like noticed yet. You know what I'm saying?
Like
so
their powers haven't manifested to the point where.
Yeah, or like this in this comic specifically in House of X 2, like that whole conversation with Moira and Xavier. I mean, it's him. He's like, yeah, I'm having a great day. I just had this dream, and I realized like my potential and my place in the universe. And it's like he's making that decision on how he's going to expose like mutants to the world. And she's like, well, that's the thing, like, Charles, I don't want to.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
It's a very pivotal
and
point.
he reads her mind, and he sees everything that she's lived, and he's like, oh. And I'm like, damn. It's like, what if that's the introduction into the cinematic universe, is like, all this other stuff's been going on, but that's only been, 10 years, I guess? Mm-hmm. And so, 10, House of X, Powers of 10, like, what if he comes in, like, and they've been there all along?
That would be a really great movie.
Yeah.
Of just all 10 of her lives.
That would be. I would love to watch that.
Yeah, that would be a great introduction. And then at the end of it, have it where, he's like, okay, we have to hide or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then they could bring him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe from there.
Yeah, and they could have totally been in hiding or traveling around through the Krakoa. Mm-hmm. And I mean, to me, I don't feel like they need a huge like origin story per se, but I also think that they're probably going to address that in the Eternals as well, because that's like the origin of mutants. Is like what they created. There was the Eternals, and there was the Deviants.
Oh yeah,
and then the mutant gene is activated at some point in people's lives. I don't know. I need to read more about the Eternals. I don't want to. I'm not an expert on.
I think they're in that one.
They can't. Yeah, nuts.
I'll definitely check these out though.
That story is just crazy. It's out there.
Man,
you
awesome.
could not bring that to the cinematic universe.
It's just too deep.
A little bit beyond.
I mean, the Hulk is a giant ape in a diaper.
Oh, you told me about that.
Bruce Banner is a kid.
Oh my god.
Crazy. Well, I mean, Hickman is just such a good writer, and he's been with the X-Men for a while, and like they've actually taken some of his ideas and incorporated it into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think he was the one that kind of created the Black Order, Thanos' Avengers, more or less. So that was really cool, and I think the Battle of Wakanda was another one of Hickman's ideas. So it's not too far fetched that they incorporate some of that into the movie. So.
Yeah, that
would be really
awesome.
neat. And comics are a lot of fun. Randy and I actually have been playing back to video games, actually. We've got Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the new one that's released. We've been playing it on the Switch, and it's so much fun.
Is that a fighting game?
Yeah, it's like a top-down, like third-person, just beat-em-up kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So,
how many characters are there?
At least 40, I'd say.
Oh,
so you have like all the
I've gotta
Defenders. You
get
got Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and all those guys. You have like the
Sweet.
original Avengers, Wasp, and like there's like Black Panther. There's like all of the Guardians of the Galaxy are in it.
Man,
So-
I'm playing as Rocket.
Yeah, dude, Rocket and Groot are actually like one character. Rocket's like on Groot's.
Oh man, that's so cool.
It's so much fun.
I want to say I played the second one.
The second one was pretty good. I think that was for PlayStation 3. The first one came out on PlayStation 2 a long time ago. And it's always just been about like this collection of superheroes just battling together. It's like, Wolverine and Groot side by side just battling it out.
That's awesome.
Or Daredevil and Iron Man just hanging out, just kicking it. So,
What's the how are they designed? Is it more like the cinematic look or
more or
is it
less?
comic look?
It's more so the cinematic. So it's basically like Thanos is collecting the Infinity Stones, and like you're fighting the Black Order. So it ties in a lot with the movies, and
That's cool.
The voice acting is really cool too. Like you can almost tell, like it's not Chris Pratt, but it's like Chris Pratt, and like
Nice.
Robert Downey Jr.'s voice is not there, but it emulates all of the characters so well.
That's
so
cool.
It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Gonna be a good party game for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like a really fun couch co-op.
Yeah,
I'll
Randy
have
and
to-
I just wake up every once in a while and just get a couple of controllers and play on it.
Oh man, that sounds fun.
I haven't been playing much lately. My life has been so crazy.
Yeah,
Kids back in school and working on the photography business and work, and I've been able to hop on for like 20 minutes and play a little Monster Hunter, and that's about it.
I hear you. Well, that new No Man's Sky update is coming this upcoming week, I believe, and that's going to incorporate VR.
Oh God, is that still only PlayStation?
No, it's on Xbox too, and
PC.
Steam.
I've got it on PC.
Okay, I'm gonna get that because I always wanted to play that game, but I think when it first came out, wasn't it just PlayStation only?
Yeah, it was released just on PlayStation.
They've worked really hard on it.
Yeah.
It's come a long way.
All the updates like for free, like you just basically pay for the game, and like all this other good stuff's.
I got really pissed off at that game though because I spent a lot of time and I bought one of like the giant carriers. Like the biggest ship in the game where you can actually dock your little ships in. It's like your base.
Oh, nice.
And I built a self-sustaining farm on it that I could basically make like 1 million credits every, I think it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I made all this
bankrolling.
Yeah, but in order to make this, you got to travel to different planets, get the seeds and the materials for the. I mean, it takes a long ass time to build it. And then when the update rolled out, it all disappeared.
Yeah, a lot of stuff
because
in some of the updates.
They changed the way the carriers work. So I was so mad.
Damn.
Yeah, I still have my original carrier. Like,
yeah,
it can't warp anywhere from system to system, but I can call it whenever I need to. It's just basically a space garage that I'm using it for, which is still pretty fun. But yeah, the VR update, and there's actually gonna be like actual multiplayer on it. Like they're pretty secret in terms of like some of the updates that they're going to be doing, but the VR is going to be like one of the biggest things, and I'm so pumped for that. Randy's going to be gone at the beach Monday through Thursday, and I think Wednesday I'm just going to sit and just like
next time we see him, he's going to have just this line around his eyes.
Oh man, well that's getting bought.
Yeah,
I might buy that today when I leave.
It's seriously, it's especially if you can find it. Like, it's not going to be $60. Yeah, it's like maybe $25 or something like that. It's totally worth it at that price. But whenever it first came out, not worth it. But they've done so much work, and well done for everybody over there.
Yeah, I'll probably get back into it at some point.
Right.
My anger's slowly going down. I've got some cool stuff on the PlayStation, but I own it on PC. I haven't really played it on PC except for like the intro,
right?
So I may start over on PC.
There's that, and I also got I've been a game purchasing junkie here lately, but there's this game called Metal Wolf Chaos XD that recently was released on PlayStation and other systems as well, but it was released 15 years ago on the original Xbox, and only in Japan. And it's basically you play as the President of the United States of America in a giant robot mech suit, fighting a coup d'etat led by the Vice President. So, and it's so silly. It's ridiculously funny.
Awesome.
It is made in Japan.
Yeah, it's actually made by From Software, who did Armored Core and like Dark Souls and all that. So, I mean, it's a really cool company, pretty quality game, but the voice acting is on par with House of the Dead 2. So, geez, bloodstains. Welcome, friends. It's just like, so it's just like, it's like if Donald Trump had a giant robot mech suit, and it's like
all I can think of is Idiocracy.
Yeah.
Terry Crews.
Yep.
He had a mech suit.
And it was made like 15 years ago, I guess, when George W. Bush was president. So it's like has like that kind of feeling. It's very satirical, which is hilarious. But like it's like the president saying, "Let's party," like while blowing a whole bunch of tanks and shit up.
That's awesome.
So if you guys have a moment or some money, definitely check that out.
I will. I think the next game I'm going to buy is probably that Remnant from the Ashes that Adam was telling us about. It's like the roguelike
that looks really
shooter.
good.
Okay, yes.
That looks pretty cool. He's already pre-ordered it, and we share Steam libraries, and people that pre-order it get to play this weekend, so I'm going to jump on it for like an hour.
Neat.
And check it out, see if it's any good. And then maybe I'll end up getting it. It's only $40. But it looks pretty cool. It's like a third-person shooter, like you stand behind. But it's loot-based roguelike. So, should be fun.
Right? Could put some time into that.
Yeah, each level has like a boss, but the boss's powers are like procedurally generated. So,
Always something fresh.
Yeah, every time you find him, it's going to be a little bit different. I think the worlds are generated as well.
Nice. Yeah, there is a new game coming out for the Switch within a week or two. It's called Rad. It's like a roguelike kind of beat 'em up kind of thing, but you basically play as kids that are going into this post-apocalyptic wasteland to like kind of regrow and like bring life back to the world. But it's got like a really neat like kind of 80s neon aesthetic to it.
It's cool.
Like the currency are like floppy disks and like there's like joysticks and arcades, and it seems really neat. I watched like a little bit of it on the Nintendo Switch Treehouse or Playhouse or something where they just play a little bit of the gameplay, and it looks really neat. But basically you like destroy a whole bunch of enemies and like this rad meter builds up, and once that fills up you actually like mutate a little bit, and it's just like kind of like a random mutation that's like a power up. Like one that I saw was you were granted a firearm, like your arm was just on fire. So it was like a ranged attack.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
It seems really neat.
I think I'm going to end up getting a Switch when the two new versions come out. I want to get the cheaper like handheld one.
Gotcha, the one with the attached Joy-Cons you can't take off.
It's only $200.
Yeah.
Man.
So I think I'm going to just go ahead and pick up a Switch then.
Right.
I had one when they first came out, but there wasn't enough content to really justify owning one.
And there's some really cool stuff that's coming out on it, for sure. That and, like, the new Doom game. Like, I've always thought, like, you know, Doom on the Switch was really weird.
Yeah.
But, like, the Doom Eternal game is going to be really cool. And they just recently re-released, like, the first Doom and the second Doom and, like, the third Doom 3 for the Switch, which is super neat. I've bought those games like 5 times already, so I don't need to get those anymore. I'm a big Doom head back in the days of shareware.
Oh yeah, man.
Dude, the original Doom was like one of my favorite games when I was a kid. Your little gun would shoot those squiggly lasers that would go across the screen. Oh no, wait. That wasn't Doom, that was Duke Nukem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You remember
Yeah.
Wolfenstein?
Wolfenstein.
Dude.
The first Doom was 3D, wasn't it?
It was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Duke Nukem was the 2D one with the
The
squiggly.
side-scroller?
Yeah, with the squiggly.
Yeah. And Jazz Jackrabbit was made by the same company, and there's another.
Did you ever play Lo Wang, the Shadow Warrior?
Shadow Warrior? Yep.
Dude, that game was awesome.
I'm a big fan of like all those like kind of old like DOS style like first person shooters. Like Doom was great.
Yeah.
id Software also did a game called Chex Quest, which was a CD that was included with the serial Chex, and it was just basically you played a Chex Ranger in space, like shooting little green gooby dudes.
Oh man,
It was a lot of fun. But like Shadow Warrior was great. There's this game called Blood, which was a lot of fun as well, which was made by the same people that did Shadow Warrior. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos by this guy called Civi11. He just basically, he's a pro Doom player, so like he plays like some of the hardest custom campaigns for Doom, like on ultra violence and whatnot. So the dude's really cool, but he's also incredibly hilarious as well. So he plays all of these games, and so it's kind of like reliving like some of my childhood seeing these videos.
That's pretty cool.
nice.
And I think that's all the time we have for today.
Oh man.
I'm Ryan.
Where can we find you, Ryan?
You can find me at CaspersPlayground.com.
Nice. A website.
This is Charlie.
Hi. You can find me at Twitter at shunt_trip and Doom Cabbage on Instagram. Where can we find you, Nate?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Modify Creative. I got some music videos and cool stuff I've been working on up there, and on Instagram at LE_modify MODIFI.
Nice. Some cool stuff.
I forgot to turn the Blown to Bits sign on.
Hey, everybody, just look at it. Can you see it? Good. Well, thank you.
Yeah. We're so bad at outros.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
Bye.